This one line of code can make or break an entire company's stance on ethical AI. Yo, what's going on? My name's MJ. I'm the CEO of a company named Lemonade Music. We're all about using artificial intelligence to empower artists and try to do it ethically as well. Not try, we absolutely do it ethically. It's actually like the core part of our DNA. And even taking a step back, ethical AI is hot when we even got, Producer Grind and Illmind talking about ethical AI. So check out this clip with Illmind.
Kind of with some AI you messing around with.
Yeah, AI is an amazing tool. It's an amazing tool for us. And if you know how to use it and you leverage it to solve whatever issues you're trying to solve as a producer, then use it. Now, do I agree with pressing one button and then like the beat's finished? No.
For sure. It's a great take.
But if I could press a button and it spits me an idea that I can take and turn into something.
Okay, first of all, Illmind did an excellent job just very clearly stating exactly how I see it as well. Like, AI has always been meant to really just be an inspirational starting point, but the human in the loop is always meant to be there, especially when it comes to creative things like music.
To me, that's producing still.
Separate the stems.
Right. It's no.
He's about to say it's no different than Splice, no different than Arcade, no different than sampling. Is taking something that exists, throwing it into your DAW, chopping it up, and making it yours.
The same concept, except now it's AI, which hopefully means it was ethically trained, which means I can clear it, which means it's a one of one, which means it's an original creation, and I can turn it into something.
So it's that part right there that is amazing to hear. I love hearing Illmind talk about it. But the reality is, I think the concept of ethical AI, it's a buzzword right now, and I just want to get deeper in it with y'all, especially as someone who's been doing this for a long time. So in order to understand what ethical AI is, we got to take a step back and remember that AI has been around for a very, very, very long time. Probably before y'all were born. It's definitely before when I was born. I mean, we've been using AI a lot in like everyday life before this whole idea of generative AI came about. So the whole idea of generative AI, of course, it's an evolution off the basis of AI, and that's where all the buzz is right now. Back in 2017, Google actually created something called the Transformer. The Transformer is a model that was built by Google, and it's actually what the T in ChatGPT stands for. Even in the world of generative AI, it's been around for a very long time, but now fast forward to 2024, and it's finally hit the mainstream to the point where it's not just affecting, the people that are building AI tools like Google and Amazon or, Apple, but it's affecting our everyday life. Like, I'm sure that half of y'all have messed around with ChatGPT, probably more than half of y'all. So yeah, tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, to even large companies embedding AI into their existing products. Like, there's Spotify, who now has a generative playlist creator where you can literally type in whatever like mood or vibe that you're in, and it'll be able to generate a playlist for you. Now that's actually retrieving songs, but you kind of get the idea. So at the same time, while generative AI is expanding and people are getting deeper into it, companies are also being a lot more cautious about how they deploy AI for good reason, but it's all around the concept of ethical AI. So let's dive into the buzz of what is ethical AI from the point of view of a CEO, of someone who runs an AI company. Let's get into it. Okay, before jumping too far deep into it, I want to, of course, let y'all know who I am in case you already know, but I'm going to pretend like you have no idea who I am. So I said this at the top, but my name's MJ. I'm the CEO of a company named Lemonade Music, but that's not where I started, of course. Rewind way back in the day. I grew up pretty poor, unfortunately, but I fell in love with music at a young age, specifically hip hop music. I became a rapper at age 11, and it's crazy looking back on the journey. Like, I grew up in a very tough situation. My father was incarcerated. That happened when I was 11. We ended up house hopping a lot, so we weren't like street homeless, but we definitely did not have a home. And then fast forward to the one spot we got with stability. Shout out to Ronnie Ante, rest in peace. And this video I'm about to play is a rap that I made in that home, and it's definitely not good, but pay attention to the lyrics. Like, this kid had nothing, and check out the heat.
Open up your mind and try to see with another view. Open up your eyes and try to see what's in front of you. And every time you fell, and every time you gave up, you were living in a fairy tale, and now it's time to wake up. I will never be ashamed, I will never be the same. I will work until I die. Money's not my motive, but my motive is to shine.
That line that just said, money isn't my motive, but my motive is to shine. Like, it's crazy. That kid is unreasonably broke, and it's so cool that God put this like desire in me to not have money be the goal, but to shine in a way that there could be light in this world. But anyways, I grew up an artist, right? To the point where, of course, I was featured on Rap Nation.
It's beast mode, mother lover, rockin' street clothes. Winning everything I do, no cheat codes. This is put it in the work, it ain't free dough. Now it's coming easy to me like a free throw.
So you can kind of get a feel for the vibe. I grew up an artist, made hundreds of songs, I've headlined shows, you know, I've been featured on things like Gary Vee, ESPN. So that's a little bit about my musical journey and how I got into it. In terms of my AI journey, I'll kind of summarize it into 3 different waves. The first wave is when I played around with AI in 2015, which is when I built my first prototype trying to prevent falling asleep behind the wheel.
Things where I just kind of had the idea in the back of my head. I would notice when I get to a traffic light, getting pretty tired and my eyelids would be feeling really heavy.
The whole idea here was like people fall asleep behind the wheel a decent amount, and it'd be crazy to come up with a prototype that could use AI to help others figure out when they're falling asleep and just give them some type of notification. So yeah, we did this whole thing, you know, built this cool prototype, and we got to present it at a very big conference called Amazon reInvent. Honestly, a life-changing experience because it ended up bringing me to Google. And it was cool because, to be completely transparent, I didn't grow up an AI scientist, or I was not even on that track. I did 2 years of computer science, 2 years of business. At Google, I was really excited to just sink my teeth more into learning more about technology. So learn more about AI, specifically from a cloud computing point of view, and trying to help customers embed AI into their applications. And what I'm super grateful for is, you know, Google paid great money, and I'm by no means set. But when you grow up with this much and eventually you get this much in terms of like just a little bit of stability, it definitely do a lot for your mentality. That's what planted the seed for me, pun intended. I gotta push the future of music in a way that is using this privilege that I have now of learning how AI works and infusing it into music in a way that hopefully will make life better for artists, and it will definitely not take advantage of artists. But that being said, you know, so the 3 waves are, you know, prototype built at Booz Allen, to then learning a lot about AI at Google, to then actually building this AI music EP. So let me show y'all this. So if you just Google MJ Jacob Magenta, you'll see this right here, a hip-hop EP co-produced using machine learning. So this breaks down the entire journey of me creating my first hip-hop EP co-produced with AI, and you can kind of get a feel for it right here. This is like the whole breakdown here.
First is an unedited AI-generated MIDI melody playback. Second is adding some chords on top of that melody, changing the type of piano playing it, and some channel EQing.
Whew! It's crazy if you just take the proper chords with the right strumming over a melody, how much of a difference it makes.
Third is the drum beat, using the exact MIDI pattern the AI model outputted, then hand selecting the sound of the snare, kick, and hi-hat. Fourth is the sound when you layer both the melody and the drum beat on top one another.
So you can kind of get the feel. So that's kind of how I built my first AI co-produced beat. And shout out to 100 Gram for helping co-produce that one, actually. But anyways, what I'm getting at is, you know, that was my third wave of messing around with AI. It was actually building an AI model that would be able to, you know, generate melodies and chords and drum patterns. So what's cool is, as I started learning more about AI, really the topic we're talking about is called machine learning. So just, we're going a layer deeper. Artificial intelligence is like the umbrella term. Machine learning is the actual science we're talking about. And I've said it a lot, but machine learning is broken down into 3 simple steps: the training data, the algorithm, and then the inference, which is also known as, like, when you hit generate on ChatGPT, that's the inference step. So yeah, back in 2020, whenever I dabbled with AI and music for the first time, that's when I realized how powerful of a difference step 1, the training data, can actually make in an algorithm. So this right here, talk about how much of a difference the training data makes. So as you can see, these are models from a while ago, but this is an output from this AI model. I'm gonna go ahead and download this, and then let's hear it back. Not gonna be good. You don't even need to hear it, just look at it. It looks like AI. It's like perfectly on the grid. What are these crazy repetitive notes or whatever? So that's like a garbage training data set AI model. Look at the difference of with the proper training data set. Shout out to Kavi. We built Kavi a model through Lemonade Collab Club. Listen to the difference and watch the difference in the AI. Whew. Oh my God. So check this out. Look at the difference in this output. We got velocities. We got like smart chords versus melodies. Check out that note right there. Like it's actually got like off-grid human tendencies that Kavi would do. And it all comes down to step one, that training data set. And I'm starting to connect the dots between ethical AI and the training data set. It's all going to make sense very soon. So coming back to this model right here, one thing I want to call out is if you look at this line of code right here, this is saying what directory, aka what folder, do you want the AI model to learn the data from? This one line of code can make or break an entire company's stance on ethical AI. The problem here is if this is pointing at all of Spotify's music without actually getting consent from any of the artists, these AI models are able to generate a lot of really high quality things, which is why it's so important to actually get consent from the people that you're working with. So it's really that simple. That one line of code that points to a folder which holds the data set that the AI model will learn from. It is a little scary that we put the hands of this technology into any random person that can download whatever they want and just shove it into the algorithm. It's definitely scary, but that's what the part of, we're trying to do here. We're trying to shine light on this topic, if this AI is trained ethically or not, and actually what it means for you if you're a business or if you're an artist that's watching this. So fast forward to today, there are countless AI music companies in the space. So there's a spectrum. There's the clearly unethical AI companies like Suno and Udio. However, on the other side of the spectrum, there's companies like Fairly Trained. And Fairly Trained, they aren't an AI company. They actually create a standard for what is ethical AI. And then of course, if you're a user interested in using AI more, I'm not saying AI is at all something you shouldn't be using. What I'm saying is AI can be extremely powerful. So if you go through this list, obviously, Lemonade's gone through the process ourselves. So that's kind of the landscape of where we're at today. So let's actually jump into defining what actually is ethical AI. So looking at the Fairly Trained website, there's a divide emerging between two types of generative AI companies. Those who get consent of training data providers and those who don't. And to be very clear, put any ethical AI company, they reached out to an artist and got consent to train their algorithm. And company number two, they just stole data without talking to an artist first, and they trained algorithms on it. So that's kind of what this definition is talking about. And yeah, I personally agree with the statement. Like that being said, like Lemonade has taken even further measures as well to actually compensate the artist. We got a lot of products, but Collab Club's a really cool example that we're proud of. It's the concept of taking specific producers. We got 4 producers right now, working with them, training on their catalog, and as a result, being able to build AI models where they actually get a revenue share from every subscription, and actually the majority of the profits. But that being said, that kind of gives you an example of what it's like to build an ethical engine while having quality AI and having the artist in the center and having some type of compensation mechanism as well. So that's where I really want to take the conversation a little bit further. Let's say the definition succinctly from my point of view. Ethical AI starts with the training data set, ensuring the catalog of art you are training on has the proper permissions and consent from the original creator or creators. It's that simple. That's step one in machine learning. For all of that data, do you have the rights to train on it? If you do not, it is not ethical AI. But I will say, I think we got to take it a step further. So it's not just about getting permission. It's also about figuring out how to not devalue music at the same time. What do I mean by not devalue music? Okay, so imagine a world where an AI company named Bruno asks for consent from a bunch of musicians for a cool new AI tool. The artists just say yes, not deeply understanding what the future of AI will look like. Like, okay, cool, you'll train a model with my data. That sounds great. I want to be part of history. And now Bruno has access to this data without restrictions. They can build AI models that's capable of generating full songs, genres, music, styles, one-shots, you name it. So now let's fast forward. That Bruno AI company all of a sudden is able to make music that sounds identical to yours, and you have a fan as an artist. And that fan is like, well, I can probably buy your album or stream you on Spotify, but this AI company, Bruno, is offering a streaming service or an AI song service that can generate a very similar vibe and style, and it's half the price. I might actually go for just using the AI service. It sounds really similar to you as an artist. And that is where the idea of, doomsday with ethical AI can become a reality if we don't take action. And that's the whole idea of what devaluing music means, things, right? If AI is able to generate more music and that music is being able to be generated without giving proper compensation and credit to the training data set, then music will just get cheaper and cheaper over time, meaning the actual monetary opportunities will get lower and lower as well. If you don't believe me, check out this Harvard Business Review piece. If you go to the Harvard Business Review, you'll actually see a bunch of charts, and it talks about the impact of ChatGPT and AI on creative spaces. So what this is saying is the impact of image generating AI tools on image generating related jobs. And this is the image space, mind you. So not music, but music tools aren't even good enough yet to actually get to this point, but it's getting close. So image generating tools were launched in January of 2022. Look at the number of job postings that have changed in terms of a percentage that have decreased since these tools have launched. The whole idea that this is going to happen for music, it is inevitable. The point is to be very cautious and careful with the companies you work with. Taking a step back in that whole example, based on that definition of ethical AI I shared earlier, did Bruno AI do what they needed to get consent and do things ethically? Sure, they got consent from artists, but the long tail impact of what Bruno AI is doing may end up replacing large forms of income for artists. And that's why I think the definition of ethical AI simply needs to continue to evolve and grow as the technology grows. So here's my evolved definition of ethical AI. Ethical AI starts with the training data set, ensuring that the catalog of art you are training on has the proper permissions and consent from the originator or creator of that art, as well as considering the long-term impact of compensation to the originating creator of that art. So now that we've defined ethical AI, I want to just kind of give some direction to if you're an artist or if you're a business, what does this mean? So let's get started with the business. So if you're a business and you're considering partnering with an AI company or you're considering building your own AI, the first thing to be thoughtful of is what is your approach? What I mean by that is I showed you Fairly Trained earlier. Spend some time looking at Fairly Trained and setting some standards for yourself, for your company, for what is the absolute bare minimum of where we can start with what ethical AI is. And secondly, if it's a company you're partnering with or if it's a team that's building models within your own company, it's never a bad question to ask, what is our training data set? And if the answer is I don't know, there's a lot of red flags that should be firing off. If it's I've got this catalog from these people or these companies that have ethically sourced their data, then awesome. Continue building, continue making the technology. And number two, consider building a business model that allows for AI technology to grow, and as it grows, the originating training data set contributors also has continued growth. So if your business is doing this, you also want those artists to come with you. You want them to make money with you. And there's an article that I'll point to that does a really solid job of explaining some business strategies on this. If you're an artist, musician, producer, or just creative, the first thing I want to break down is there is a massive opportunity to make income or passive income as a creative in AI. Lemonade has already paid tens of thousands of dollars to creatives to use their music ethically as part of our training process. The way that we do it is we don't take away any rights on the songs that are contributed to us. It's almost like you're leasing a beat. We are just getting a lease to use your music to train an algorithm, and then our algorithm actually ends up making new stuff. And then number two, with any land of opportunity, just be careful. Get to know the company's ethical standard on their website if they have one. If they don't have one, probably shouldn't rock with them, and just see if you can chat with someone at the company. Like if you reached out to support@lemonade.ai, me as the CEO, I see all of those emails come through. If you're not able to work with a human with that AI company that's able to explain the process either over voice notes or even over an email, something as simple as that, if they can't do that, you definitely should not be working with them. But picture it this way. Imagine there's an incredible producer that is probably gonna be a superstar, and they came from a relatively poor family, and a record label swoops in and says, here's $5,000, but I want a 360 deal with you for the rest of your life. In that exact moment, that's a predatory music label coming in, trying to capitalize and monopolize this individual's art. What I want to say right now is I do think AI companies have that same predatory feel of what music labels have, but maybe even worse given the actual impact that AI can have as it continues to grow. So, being a leader at Lemonade, you have my commitment as an artist, especially that I'm going to continue growing. I'm going to continue doing my research. I'm going to continue finding finding new ways for, paying the creators to stay protected as we continue to build better and more powerful AI technology that can help more creators be creative. But anyways, ending on an optimistic note, I do believe there's a future where creators are able to create more and better than they ever have before because of high quality AI tools, while at the same time, the future of creativity and music or whatever domain of art you do is not devalued. It's actually increased in value because the AI companies building these high quality models actually are building proper compensation systems that are part of the actual models as they grow. That is something that Lemonade is very interested in building. We've been building it. We're going to continue building it. And you have my word that, until this thing is figured out, we're going to keep moving. Hopefully this helped with understanding what ethical AI is. Thank you for hanging out with me. And let me know if there's any questions you want me to get deeper into. You can find me on Instagram at MJX Music and my company Lemonade X Music as well on Instagram and Twitter. All right, guys. Thank you for the time. Talk to you later.